Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Lorelei's story, Elle's story. We're going to pick up right where we left off, but we're going to move the camera a little bit. As Elle, last thing that happened is a clockwork meditation, an experience of chaos that sent you over the edge, and you responded with panic that ended up taking the form of a burst of flame, acted as a very potent trauma trigger for you. You ran from Emila's classroom out into the courtyard. The camera remains in Emila's classroom for a moment. Emila sees Elle bolt. The curtain blocking the view between the other students and what just happened remains up. Emila sighs, standing, and turns to the table, where from within her robes she pulls a small slip of parchment. She writes, "Taylor requires space but will need supervision. She responded extremely poorly to clockwork meditation. Recommend gentle oversight and a pause on further clockwork alignment work for the day. Emila." And the note vanished from her fingertips as soon as she signs it. As the curtain rises once again, Emila looks to the students that are still there, and she resumes teaching. In the lobby of the Merigard Academy, the doors having only recently just shut as he sprinted outside, Hirsch, looking up over his spectacles, discreetly so, but always paying attention, looks down at the note that appears in his fingertips. And he begins writing a note of his own. Elle, you stand out in the courtyard of the Merigard Academy. It is beautiful out here. It is fairly early in the afternoon at the moment, I believe. As you stand out here, there is the sounds of training occurring, but no one is really paying you much mind. Where do you go? What do you do?
She needs to go to some place quiet. There was
Stable was relatively quiet.
it was, but she also needs to get away from this place. So, before she completely breaks down, she is going to step quickly out of the courtyard and make her way towards that park down the street.
Okay, you head toward the East Park.
Mm-hmm.
You remember, it's not far. It's just a few blocks. Crossing the main street, the East Park is a large open stretch with lots and lots of trees and brush. And while it doesn't look particularly well kept, it does look well grazed. The grass is kept short in uneven matter, as it's clear horses and other oxen and pack life have trimmed the grass down to the ground in places. Lots of tents occupy different sections, and there are cook fires that are visible all over the place here. But there is definitely plenty of space for one to get isolated.
Are there any large fields of flower or like big flower beds? Anything like that?
There is some stretches that are like meadow, that are more untouched than others.
Mm.
The East Park is actually very big. So
Yeah, it
you
looks big.
you find like on the far side of the East Park, heading towards the eastern wall of Ferrum, there is a section where it's almost it's like being out in the woods, and you can definitely find meadow and flower beds that are more wildflowers than anything intentionally grown. Roll me a survival check.
Okay. Uh, Not bad. 18.
Yeah, you get out to the parts of the park that are less traveled, and out here you actually find some wild plants that you don't want to touch. They are poisonous to be around.
Oh. All right.
Uh, yeah, these thorn brush out here is actually going to, like, if you get too close to it, they will release these spores that will irritate the shit out of you. So you spot them, and you realize this is probably a place of the East Park where people don't go, or
Mm,
these particular plants are being cultivated by somebody who knows where this is.
mm.
So
Are they pretty to look at, though?
yes, they are gorgeous. They seem as though they grow in an intent to attract insects and small birds. The actual flowers of these dangerous plants are bright violet with like yellow lining going down the petals.
Okay. Then she'll take a seat across from this meadow. If there's like a path that kind of runs alongside it, or if it's just open field, she'll take a seat on the ground, a good distance away from them, and just look at them.
Yeah, you do that.
She'll take a deep breath and she'll try to forget what she just did, what it just what the memory that it brought forth, the memory that's so fresh in her mind, and she'll think back to all the times that she spent on the cliffs overlooking the ocean in Taka with all those wildflowers around her. Now, these wildflowers are different than the ones that she remembers.
Very much so. The ones in Taka would have been almost like cliff-born wildflowers, uh,
Hmm.
like the sort of
See,
flowers that force themselves to exist.
like there's a in the real world, not in Amaranth, there's a flower called a sea aster, which is primarily a wildflower that is known for growing on the cliffs of I think it's Dun or Dorn in England, like these little
Dover?
white Dover, cliffs of Dover. That's it. I knew it started with a D.
Um, well, these I see the flowers that you're talking about, and these absolutely could exist in Amaranth.
Mm.
Not
Uh,
everything has to be magic and nonsense.
yeah, of course. Um, but I imagine those are the kind of wildflowers that would grow on the cliffs there in Dhaka,
So,
since they are cold weather wildflowers.
so this thorn brush, these wildflowers that I've described to you, actually would look fairly similar, just off the image I'm seeing of sea aster, though the petals would be much wider and flatter and a much darker purple than like the whitish purple that are sea asters.
Yeah,
So perhaps there's a similarity, perhaps not.
similar but different.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think that would calm her down some.
How
But she'll.
how long did she
Hmm?
spend out here?
She used to spend hours
Right.
in those on those cliffs thinking and just enjoying the breeze.
Uh,
So
well,
it's going to be hours.
sure, sure. Let me roll a thing.
Sure.
Roll a perception.
Okay. She's too distracted.
Uh, so with a 6, Elle, you're out there for like an hour and a half of just being out here. And it is peaceful. The din of the city is almost like swallowed by the trees of the East Park. But the trees do not entirely block the sea salt breeze that is constantly flowing in from Kylus Bay. As it washes over and through the East Park, it almost cools a little bit, which is a little different than what it would have been on the cliffs of Taka, where they would just be either warm or cold, whatever the weather was. It always was the same as it was everywhere else. Here in East Park, it's almost like it's dumped a lot of its heat into the town itself. And so the breeze that's passing through the trees of East Park smells salty and fresh, but it is cool and pleasant. As you are here enjoying the environment as much as you can, considering what's going through your head, um, you hear a twig snap to your left. And this, you see an individual um, who it's clear they did that on purpose. It's clear that they were trying to alert you to their presence without like actually saying anything. Um, and you see a older human man. You've never seen this guy before. But you do immediately recognize the raiment of Croesus. This is what this guy looks like. He has a large journal like book, like clearly handmade, leather bound tome under his arm. Um, and he like sees you and he stops.
Uh, she'll glance over. She's kind of sitting. Is there are there any benches or is she just
We'll say
sitting on the
you're kind
ground?
of sitting on a log, basically.
Okay. Yeah, she's kind of holding herself upright or in a slouched position with her forearms crooked over her knees in the front. Um kind of just propping herself up, and she glances over and she sees that. She just kind of like squints her eyes at him. Um uh Hello?
Good day.
Uh sure. Can I help you?
He like looks at you and this clearing. It's very pretty out here. You immediately recognize his accent as Terraconan.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I take a minute?
No? Go ahead.
He approaches and you do spot on his robes up near the shoulder is a Marigard student sigil.
Student.
Yep.
Okay.
He looks like he might be 60 years old and he's
Oh
a
man.
Marigard student.
Uh, what?
kind of rolls his shoulders as he like sits down on not the same log as Elle. He kind of keeps like a respectful distance. Um,
Mhm.
but he does sit on like a large, I'll say a boulder that's out here in this meadow. Didn't expect to find uh, you out here, or anyone, I guess.
Um, yeah, I was looking for some quiet. Sh- shouldn't, well, I guess I should be too.
Hmm?
But as you're a student, right?
That I am.
So what are you doing out here?
Oh, biding my time. My instructor said I'd know what to do when I uh, found my assignment. I don't think you're it, but you know,
What's your assignment?
he holds up the journal. uh,
Um,
documenting. Uh, I don't mean to presume. Um, you're a student.
yeah.
Are you on a task?
No. Um, I I needed some I need some air and some quiet after particularly hard lesson.
This guy nods, looking around the meadow. When I asked for a voice, I begged for the gods to make me worthy. They stayed silent, and that silence is louder than a shout some days. Then,
Hmm.
well, something, a light, answered, but it was not holy, not forgiving. It made me useful. I learned not all light heals. Sometimes it simply exposes the wound. You look like you're hurting. You don't have to speak to me about it. Don't owe me your grief. I can
She,
leave you to your quiet if you'd prefer.
she sighs. She looks to the wildflowers in front of her. I assume you're a cleric
No,
or some sort of priest.
I wanted to be. The gods did not choose to speak to me.
So what are you at the Merry Guard for?
He closes his eyes. Roll an insight check.
Okay. Insight.
I rolled pretty poorly.
16.
Yeah, that beats my 13. He looks hurt. Like he looks like emotionally hurt as he closes his eyes and takes in a breath. It's like a welling up of pain that he squelches. You remember that light I mentioned answered?
Mm-hmm.
I made a pact with it. And I'm here to understand the meaning of that. I only sought to be useful. The pact promised I might be a hand. So, I came here as a warlock.
You still wear the vestments.
I do. I've spent years hoping to be deemed worthy by Lord Croesus. I was denied that honor, but that does not mean I don't remember his lessons. What he promises. I just hope the humility is not wasted on me. Apologies. I've forgotten my manners. I'm Chiron.
Lorelei.
'Tis a pleasure. Oh, that was my task. He spots the flowers that you've been looking at, and he plucks one and immediately like opens the journal and begins to write into it.
What?
Hmm?
Those are poisonous.
Ah. He gently like lets it out of his fingertips. I well, she did say I should come prepared. And he reaches into his pouch and he pulls out a small vial and he drinks it.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's drinking it, you see his fingertips where he touched it are immediately like swelling red, but they immediately stop as soon as he drinks it. He says, I did not research the particulars.
Well, good thing I was here then.
Agreed. Do you, He looks at the flower that's now on the ground and he's like struggling. He like reaches into his pack and he pulls out like a small wand and he like puts the journal down. He tries to like fish the flower up onto the journal. It's a little clumsy to watch. You're watching an old guy struggle to pick up a poisonous flower. But he does manage to do so.
I'm trying to see if I have anything that could help. She doesn't have much. Yeah. Well, she has, gosh, a case, map, or scroll. I'm trying to think. Maybe it is a container that I'm sure it closes. So she kind of pulls this little like box that has a lid on it, and she pulls it open and presents it to him.
Oh, that is perfect. You don't mind, do you?
Mm-mm. Go ahead.
I appreciate it, Lorelei. And he will slowly tip the journal so the flower slides into the container. He takes it and he like is making notes in the journal about this particular flower.
Mhm. She'll just he didn't take the whole case. He just put the flower in.
He took the case from you.
Okay, gotcha. Um, her brows will furrow, and are you coming from Taka?
He glances up. I am.
Well, small world then. Hmm?
I suspect so. I thought I recognized the timber.
Well, I can't say that I went inside Croesus's temple often, but hmm,
I can't say I'd seen you within.
it wouldn't have been for prayer.
Hmm.
And she'll thumb the holy symbol of Melisandre and just kind of leave it
he just
dangling
he just
outside the
chuckles
clothes.
quietly a little, yeah. Different sides of the same street.
Did you? I'm sure in the 2 years that she did tours,
Mm-hmm.
did she end up leaving someone at Croesus's temple?
Oh, a few times.
Well, um, I guess that part of my life is over now. Did you ever have tourists or pilgrims come into the temple after a tour?
Uh, I believe so. We had tourists almost on the daily. I do
Mm-hmm.
recall a few, perhaps mentioning a tour of Taka.
Mm-hmm. Any of them dissatisfied?
He looks up from the journal as he's kind of been like writing as you've been talking to him, and he looks at you with like a slight quizzical look.
She looks innocent as possible, or
How,
tries to.
how could you know that?
She just grins and like gives him a wave.
uh, he's gonna roll the history check.
Mm-hmm.
He rolled really well. He looks at you and he kind of tilts his head. You were were you one of the tithes?
She just like she didn't know. She didn't know anybody knew that name besides the people
Oh
in.
yeah, people know it. There's just they don't like tourists don't, obviously.
She'll just like look surprised at that and then try to quickly hide it. Um, well, no, that she believes that life has been ruined and over. So she just kind of looks, gives him a guilty smile.
A little scamp.
she she frowns at that. Um, it wasn't a scamp.
I don't mean offense, but you must see how things look from, you know, a hopeful priest in a temple who spends every day just hearing the stories and rumors.
I was a perfect angel. Thank you.
The scariest part is how well you say that. I won't
Uh,
assume your history. He is insight checking you, though, so roll a deception check.
oh, okay.
Uh, I mean, unless you're trying to say you're persuading that you were a perfect angel.
no, she is. She's not.
Yeah, he rolled a 9 on his insight. So, yeah, he literally like seems unnerved at how like straight face you say that, and he says, "Right. Well, I will say it is a comfort to know someone from the old homestead, even if we might have traveled in different circles."
Listen, I loved the Holy Gardens. That's part of the reason why I offered tours. It's also part of the reason why I made a little money off of it.
For the love of the gardens, of course.
Hmm?
For the love of the gardens.
Yes.
There is some honor in sharing what you know and love with those who come to see it. He
At least,
doesn't comment any further.
at least the symbols were pretty for a day or two before they started to chip.
Hmm. Was it clay that you painted?
Sometimes wood.
The one that I saw was clay. They were cranky about it, but I think they got good use out of that symbol anyway.
Sometimes, well, a symbol is a symbol. It still honors whatever god it symbolizes.
It absolutely does.
So it wasn't all that bad. It just made their pockets a little bit lighter.
I will refrain from commenting on my thoughts of the morality of charging those for a symbol not worth its weight. But a symbol is, as you say, a symbol.
Hmm.
And should that bring them closer to the word of the judge, all is well.
When did you leave?
About a month and a half ago.
And you got on a ship and just sailed?
He nods.
Well, I'm glad you arrived safely.
My new friend was looking out for me. I'm glad to
Well,
see you also arrived safe. You only just arrived recently. I have not seen you around.
it's been like a few days, right?
It's Thursday. It's literally like been like 4 days.
Yeah. Um, yeah, like 4 days ago.
What do you think so far?
I don't know. Come back to me in a month.
I will find you. Uh, should I expect you to be one of Maxwell's apprentices?
No, actually.
He looks up, genuinely surprised. A cleric?
No. Um, sorcerer.
He leans back. Oh, you were born
Yeah.
with a spark.
Mm, yes, I think. Um,
Treasure
Still
it.
trying to figure it out.
Treasure it.
She makes a face.
Your spark
Um,
is not a punishment. It is not a promise either. It is simply yours.
I have a hard time believing that.
You will grow. You will see that it is a part of you, a part to rely on. You are not scattered.
She doesn't smile. She just kind of thinks as her brows furrow. And she takes a deep breath. Well, um, you can keep the case. Um,
Oh, I only needed to bring it back to Elise. I can find you again. No, or I can leave it with Persh. Or
sure,
perhaps I will see you again.
you'll see me again.
He nods. I can walk you back, or you want, or not.
Are you done here?
Hmm? And he shows that the journal entry is finished, and there's a sketch of the flower, a description of it. It's very detailed. It's very well drawn. Um, and you learn it is called an endivia flower.
Mm. Indivia. All right. And what was his name again?
He introduced himself as Chiron.
Kyron. K-I-R.
Nope, Caire.
C-A-I-R-N.
Yep,
Kyron. And he's human, yeah?
he is a human warlock.
Okay. Um, she'll nod. Sure. We can walk back together.
Chiron kind of brushes the dust and soil off of his the robes that he's wearing, and he joins you as you begin to make your way back towards the Maryguard Academy.
She'll stuff her hand. Sorry, excuse me. She'll stuff her hands in her pockets and just kind of walk nonchalantly.
Okay.
Um,
What's okay? So I gotta know because I can't get a
mm,
read. What is going on in Elle's head after this conversation?
um, it was a good distraction. Um, so she's just kind of neutral right now. And she likes the fact that she met someone from a place that she knew. That it's nice to know someone who comes from the same culture. Um, so I'd say for now she's past what happened. She's forgotten of it for now.
Okay. As you return to the Merryguard Mercenary Academy. Okay. Uh, let me go ahead and pull up the front. Uh, Chiron kind of just makes small talk, talking about like he specifically mentions like a noodle vendor that was always in the Holy Gardens, just commenting that he misses that particular food.
uh, would she know of that? She probably would, huh?
100%.
Yeah.
It was this dwarven guy with a ridiculous mustache that would like coil up into his sideburns. So everyone always called him Sideburns Noodles. But his street noodles were always good. They were always amazing.
Hmm.
And with lots of garlic and olive oil. So you always knew if somebody ate it because they smelled like garlic.
Yeah.
You 100% know who he's talking about.
Yeah. Uh, then that would just be more of a distraction. Just reminiscing and talking about this sideburns noodles.
Yep. No one actually knows
um,
his actual name or what the name of the stall is. They just called him Get Noodles from Sideburns. Or,
yeah.
go talk to Sideburns, basically, is what they were talking about.
I'll say I'll say this: if Lorelai can find a good distraction, something that she knows, it will help her forget um, even more. And that's all she's looking for right now is a good distraction, because she doesn't want to deal with any of it.
Sure.
And um, at least she's not ready yet.
Okay. Do you.
She hmm?
So, my question is do you follow Chiron to the Warlock classroom? Or do you, like, after you walk back, do you go somewhere else?
um no, she'll follow. She'll follow.
Okay.
She doesn't want to go back to the classroom.
I
No,
figured as
that's
much, yeah.
no, she doesn't want to do that. Also, his little blurb about the spark, she does not believe that at all.
Okay.
Zero chance she believes any of it.
Okay.
Um, so she thinks it's a curse, really. Um, so I just wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad as you explain that the distraction is really what's important to Elle at the moment. Um, Chiron heads back to the Warlock classroom, and you see this. This is the Warlock classroom. You see there is a drow in a beautiful, like, blue dress who is talking with the woman that you definitely saw cooking.
Oh.
Uh,
I'm trying to think if Lorelai would know of Yuan-Ti. Because
they're not
I'm not
common.
sure if she would. I'm not sure if she would.
Um,
Um,
roll a nature.
nah, 8.
Okay. Yeah, you just see this person who's got like scales and kind of an exotic appearance. She stops as the door opens and Chiron steps inside. The instructor who you recognize as Elise from the various paintings and portraits around Maryguard Academy, rises from her own chair as Chiron enters, and you are right there, and she says, "Well, hello there. We have a visitor."
Yeah. Hi.
"It is always a pleasure to meet someone new. Chiron, why don't you do the proper introductions of your friend?" And Chiron, who's just stepped inside and is like setting the journal down on a desk immediately inside the door, turns and says, "Oh, right. Hailing from Taka. This is my newest acquaintance, Lorelei."
She gives a polite smile and a nod.
Elise nods with a smile back. And she just, it's all very proper and probably feels weird as shit to Lorelei. Elise like dips her head and says, "A pleasure, of course. I am the Maryguard's warlock instructor. Elise, you may also refer to my students, Chiron and Zenari." And the one addressed as Zenari just like dips her head. It all seems very mechanical, like they're practicing
formal. Yeah.
It.
Zenari.
Yes.
Probably gonna ZANR
Z
ARI.
no ZYNARI.
ARI at the end. Okay. Gotcha.
And Chiron, I trust your assignment was successful. You did bring back the proper reagent for our solutions. And Chiron nods as he like opens up the case. Elise seems pleased. And then she looks at you and she says, "Well, have you come to spend some time with us? We are always welcoming of company. Are you interested, perhaps, in a new contract? Or are you just visiting with Chiron here?"
Just visiting. Also, never mind. I'll just visit.
Very well. Enjoy your time here, but pray tell, do not be too much of a distraction, as Mr. Tinalo certainly has his duties. And Elise gives you a smile and a wink. You get the feeling she's just teasing you. And then she turns back to Sonari, and you see that there is a tome open on the table that basically it seems like she's back to teaching whatever it is that they're talking about. And it's not in a language you understand. Unless you understand Abyssal, which I guess you could. Okay.
No.
Yeah. It is a weird sounding language that's suddenly happening over there.
Okay.
Chiron, who's at the table immediately next to it, next to the door, he looks at you and he says, "Are you any good with chemical tools? Herbalism supplies?"
She just shakes her head.
Me neither.
No.
And he opens the case and like upends it over the table, and on the table are all sorts of these small like alchemical supplies that he immediately is like trying to fiddle with. And he's like pausing and hesitating, and he's like, "She said that I needed to use the burner first, but do I just put the whole thing in, or does it need to be cut up?"
Don't have a book or anything that instructions?
"I can't look at it until I make my first attempt. She says that if I have questions, I should speak to my patron. But my patron gets annoyed if I ask too many questions."
I had a loss of words. I don't know how to help. What are you trying to make?
Remember that vial I drank at the beginning of this conversation?
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to make another one of them, and this is an important component. And he, points at the flower, because it is supposed to solve the toxins this creates, I guess.
Okay.
Over, from the chair, you hear Elise say, "Your patron." And Chiron just... Madam Elise, my patron is not of the Merigard's employ. And he just, pinches the bridge of his nose.
Then maybe it just depends on the question that you ask. Maybe your patron will be less annoyed if you ask the whole question before, instead of many different questions. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think so. You mean to be clear and outright with what everything I'm trying to do is, and then ask a straightforward question.
Yes.
Instead of bumbling over my thoughts. He looks a little his teeth are grit a little bit, as he's looking at the mess in front of him. But he's gonna roll to ask his patron, and I'm gonna give him advantage because you helped him.
Okay.
He rolled a 1 and a 17, so you certainly
Nice.
helped. Okay. He closes his eyes. As he does, you see it's almost as if where his eyes are shut, where the eyelids touch, there is a gleam of light that just flashes out from under them. And when he opens his eyes again and looks at the desk that all these equipment and supplies are on, his eyes are pure white. Glowing white. Just for a moment, and then they settle back to their normal appearance of just gray. Okay. That went better than it has in the past.
Just need to tailor your questions to the person you're talking to.
Easier said than done. He is intimidating. And you watch as he, now seeming, more confident? Not, confident, but, is beginning to slice the flower up with a small knife and tweezers, so he's not actually touching it himself. And he's, cutting the stem up into small slices, and he says, "This feels right. Thank you. That your opinion helped at least solidify my next step."
Good.
Also, and he kind of leans in a little quieter and he says, "If she tries to get you to sign a contract, pass unless you're sure it's what you want."
I don't need any more trouble.
You don't need another voice in your head, I'm sure.
Yeah, something like that.
He nods as he slowly tweezes the little pieces of flour into this tube that's over a burner. How hot do I get it? It's going to kill me.
Logically, wouldn't it be you're trying to separate the toxins from the rest?
Yes. But what does that look like? I barely make my own tea.
Well, I don't know.
I think I'll experiment this time instead of asking when I could just and he just turns the burner on, which is just this little flint, and the burner starts to slowly heat the slices of the flour in the tube. And it doesn't take long before it starts to smell like it's burning. And he shuts the burner off, and he's like, I will understand this. Lorelei, roll me an intelligence check.
Okay. That's a saving throw. Intelligence check. Yikes. Nope.
Yeah, you don't know.
anything about
You have
this.
no fucking clue. This is beyond you as well.
Yeah.
And then, like, his eyes flash white, and you realize, like, they're glowing as he's looking at the desk, and he just, oh. Thank you. And then he reaches forward, and he picks up, behind all the equipment is a small, like, pitcher of water, and he pours it into the burner, the tube that the flour was in.
Oh, he didn't have water in it?
No, it was just the flour. He just...
Oh my. Okay. Well, she would know that.
Now with a 6, she wouldn't.
Oh, okay. Well,
the
I
DC
would
was
know
10.
that. Gotcha.
Right, but we're not, like, we have, the concepts and the context of, technology.
Uh-huh. All right.
Literacy is not always the case. So he, like, slowly but surely, you watch as Chiron, like, struggles through conversing with his patron, trying to learn how to do this process. By the end of it, if you stay the whole time, he ends up with just this, like, 4 drops of this solution that looks a little cloudy, but is similar to what he drank earlier. And as he looks at the little vial that's kind of sad with how little is in it, I will have to do better than this.
Well, you know where the flowers are.
I do.
There's
Perhaps I will find another student from Taka as well.
Oh, no. I don't think so. I'm the only one.
Not the only
other one. Only other one.
Mm-hmm. And he just, like, taps the side of his nose. He turns to Elise. Oh, go ahead.
Although maybe a cleric.
Who?
Isn't there a cleric class?
There is. Yes. I'd recommend you pay it a visit.
I don't know. I'm kind of avoiding one. Mainly because they stared at me, and I'm unsure if I slighted them.
The best way to solve your problems is to face them head on.
I don't like that at all.
It's not fun.
No,
but then the problem is gone.
She sighs.
He nods knowingly at the sigh. I won't push you. I have my own hike to enact.
She nods.
It has been a pleasure meeting you, Lorelei.
Same to you.
If I find myself sent on a free agency, he, like, glances over at Elise. I've been sent on many lately. Would you mind if I asked for you to help me, should it be applicable?
Sure.
He nods.
I have yet to be on one, but I'm sure it's coming.
You've only been here 4 days.
That's true.
And To be honest, I know you don't want to hear it, but after only being here 4 days, to not be in your classroom around class time probably doesn't look the best.
She just kind of rolls her eyes.
Scamp. And he gives you another wink. Do you mind if I use this again? And he holds up the case.
Go for it. I'm not using it.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
He turns and I messed up the first batch, so I'm off to go get some more flour. And Elise, who has turned away from Zenari, looks and just says, "Of course you did, but good luck." Great.
I think Lorelai would follow him out.
Okay.
Just because she doesn't want to. She doesn't really know Elise or Thorson. What's
Zenari. Yes.
Zenari.
No, you haven't had any real conversation with him, so it might be a little weird.
No, it's a little weird, yeah.
You head out with him. Do you follow him back to the park again, or do you go your own way?
She'll go her own way. Is it she ran out mid-morning, yeah?
Yeah, so it's early afternoon right now, based on how long you were in the park.
Lunch.
Yeah.
Go to the mess hall.
Lunch is just starting, basically, at this point. Or no, I'm sorry, it's just finishing. So, the actual meal is still out on the actual, window, but it is pretty sparsely populated. You just see a few people out here.
That's totally fine. That works. She'll grab some lunch.
Okay.
And then
you see, there's one other person basically in the lunch hall, who is green, very green. Flesh is it looks like a half orc. She looks dangerous. She kind of looks over at you, not angrily or threateningly, just suspicious. You feel like you're getting sized up as you collect your food. Which lunch today is these thick roast, you're not sure what the meat is. It seems to be something akin to buffalo or ox meat, but you don't know exactly what it is. But it's laid over these thick sandwich halves, covered in cheese and onions and peppers, and just a slew of these cold salads along with it. That is lunch. You see this woman, and this is what she looks like.
Okay.
She is looking at you and is appraising you.
I think she's probably seen this kind of look before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's gonna try and throw her off.
What does that mean? Oh boy.
Just she's gonna stop and just stare at her.
Roll intimidation.
Okay. $15.
The half-orc woman who has this sandwich in her hands as she's looking over it at you. When you stop and stare, standing your ground, she kind of leans back, lowers the sandwich from her mouth a little bit, and then just gestures with her head to the seat opposite her at the table.
She wasn't hoping for that, but
Well,
she'll just
that's
go
what
over.
happened. You don't have to. You can ignore it, but that's what happens.
Fine. She
Fine.
committed to this bit. She
Fine.
committed to the bit.
Okay.
She's committed to the bit, so she'll come over.
As you sit down, the half-orc just nods and continues eating.
She'll start eating lunch.
It's delicious.
All right.
Your maximum hit points are increased by 2 for 24 hours.
Oh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's different.
It's based on what the food's made of.
Gotcha.
The entire time you're eating, the half-orc woman doesn't say anything. Doesn't really even there's she looks at you a couple times, but there's no meaning to the glance, basically. Seems like she's there to eat lunch and then move on. But if you want to say anything to her, you totally can.
So did you figure anything out from that one glance?
She nods.
Really?
She looks up at you with a raised eyebrow and then nods again.
Okay. What's your name?
She swallows a bite. She just says, Rune.
Mm-hmm.
She is looking at you expectantly.
Lorelei?
She nods. Takes another bite.
What did you learn?
She tilts her head with a shrug of one shoulder. Quiet.
Okay.
She waits a moment, and then she says, people person.
Okay.
City folk.
You got that from just looking at me.
She nods.
Okay. I assume then you're not city folk.
She shakes her head.
Where are you from?
Roll persuasion.
All right. Another 10 for a 17.
Okay. It seems like she's considering how she's going to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, she just says, Arbara.
That's south?
She looks at you and then nods slowly.
Oh. Well. What class are you taking?
She considers again, like this woman seems like she's very careful with what she says and how much she says. You immediately get the vibe that she's not a people person. If you didn't, if you didn't pick that up on your own,
I picked that up. I picked that up. Yeah.
But eventually she says, "Ranger."
Hmm. Okay. Well then,
You.
sorcerer.
She tilts her head, clearly like didn't expect that. Don't look at. And then she takes another bite.
You look like more of a fighter.
She nods. And she is very brawny for a ranger.
Mm-hmm.
This woman, like underneath the leather armors, is built.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Mm.
And she'll take a bite, the last bite, and then just take her plate to
Yep.
be deposited.
Go ahead. You depart. You leave Rune, the ranger, in the mess hall, finishing her own food. For your notes, that is spelled Ruun.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Perfect. As soon as she steps out of the mess hall, I'm gonna roll that. She's gonna look towards the sorcerer classroom
Mm-hmm.
down the hall. Just take a deep breath and head towards it.
Okay. You sure?
She's not sure, but
Okay. That's fair.
Kyron had a point.
As you enter the sorcerer classroom, the first thing you notice is that Erithea, the creepy blood mage, is like in the front part of the classroom where you've done all your practical stuff, and her hands are parted, and she is not doing anything bloody for the first time you've seen her doing anything.
Okay.
She is between her fingertips you see a mote of fire is dancing between them. Her eyes are shut and she is performing some sort of exercise, but as you enter, Amila says, "Keep what you're doing," to Erithea immediately, who likely was about to turn and see, but she stops and continues. "Welcome back."
He nods.
"Are you ready to continue your studies?"
Yes.
Amila nods, and she gestures to the table near Sparks, who, when you see Sparks, he looks at you and he has like, as soon as you look at him, his mouth splits in a wide, toothy grin and he just waves. He has a tome open in front of himself as well that he's making notes out of. As Amila goes to the bookshelf, she pulls out a large book. I need you to roll me a d4.
Okay. 2.
Okay, hold on. Two. I've closed this window. Amila gestures to the table, and she sets a heavy slate gray leather tome bound in brass corners. There is a big brass clasp that locks it shut, and it is labeled "The Braided Thread Harmonizing the Unruly Weave" by Orin Velisar.
Okay.
As she slides this book in front of you, she says, "It is clear you are not quite ready to manage isolating yourself from the chaos that can be overwhelming in the world. These are the boundaries we must find. We must test our limits, see where the line is drawn in the sand, and then proceed to slowly and carefully push them until they are farther. That is growth. A muscle does not grow without tearing it. A lesson is not learned without a mistake made." This tome was written by a good friend of mine, Orin Velisar was a partner of mine in the Wizard Circle of Silver's Reach years ago. He struggled with multiple voices that would haunt him daily. So as you read this book, I'd like you to consider the mind who wrote it was influenced, in the end, by fiends. Still a genius, still a brilliant spellmaker and wizard, but tortured until the end.
Okay. She'll take a seat.
Okay.
And she'll open it up and read.
Okay. You see immediately, as you open it, there is a note. It's a folded scrap. It's right inside the front cover. You see Amilla has gone back over to Erithea and is back to resuming teaching her whatever it was. You see this exercise where this mote of fire is suddenly turning to ice and back. Do you read the note?
Yes.
The note says, "This is not your prison. The thread binds the chaos, yes, but only as long as you hold the needle. When you feel the gears grinding, return here. Start at page 50. ED."
She'll flip to page 50.
On page 50, the title says, "The Tethered Flame. When the spark grows wild, bind it not in iron, but in measure," or in Velisar. This page teaches a simple but powerful stabilizing ritual called the Tethered Flame, a personal focus loop for when raw emotion risks pushing magic out of control. It's written in straightforward, almost blunt steps with a small, tidy diagram. In the margin, it says, "Most mages fear the flame. The flame can be anything that spins us out of control. While my flame is torturous, the wise ones learn to spin its wheel." And then there is a ritual description to catch a surge of unstable magic before it ignites further chaos. Do you want me to read off the steps?
Yeah, I should.
What?
Yeah, I'm preparing notes.
Okay.
Uh, Steps to control chaos or control chaotic magic.
The tethered flame is the name of the ritual, and it is
Okay.
the point of the ritual is to catch a surge of unstable magic before it ignites chaos. The method is 1. You mark the circle. You draw a circle in the air or on a surface with your finger or a stylus. It must close cleanly with no gaps. Let me know when you're ready. This is a real ritual that you can perform. It takes an action to do so. 2. Name the flame. Whisper aloud the emotion you feel. Do not deny it. Do not judge it. Give it a word or a title. Fear, grief, anger, desire.
Okay, so say the name of the emotion.
Yes.
Okay.
Step 3 is to braid the breath. You breathe in for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats, and out for 4 beats. Each cycle turns the circle into a ring of gears in your mind's eye.
Okay.
The 4th is set the latch. Imagine your flame placed within the circle. Do not force it, only contain it. Picture the gears tightening around it, letting it spin only as fast as you will allow.
Okay.
And then the 5th step is to seal with intent. You speak, I am the keeper of my magic. Its motion answers me. The final step is to release or hold the flame. You decide to let the flame stay until it dims within the circle, or you open the circle when you feel its energy has settled.
Okay. A release or
You
what
release
was the
it
last?
or hold it. You decide to let the flame stay within your circle, or you open the circle when you feel its energy has settled.
Okay. That's pretty straightforward then.
Yep.
Okay.
Make sure you make a note. The ritual of the tethered flame. You have that.
Yep.
This is not a spell. This is a thing you can do. Perhaps you understand that you can use this to control wild magic surges, or your own emotional, when there's a blow up or a problem, this ritual might help Lorelei contain the panic response of burning hands, like she saw.
Yeah.
The use of the ritual is kind of up to you.
Gotcha. Okay. I have it down.
Okay? As you read and learn that ritual and you've made a note of it, do you go through the rest of the tome?
Yeah, she's curious.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a Arcana. No, an investigation check.
10 flat.
Okay. You get through the first few chapters. it is clear that this wizard that wrote this book is referring to a lot of magic in nature to Mechanus, which makes sense with the name of the book, Harmonizing the Unruly Weave. You learn that raw magic is emotion, intention, and echoes of itself braided together, and there are many diagrams of how fey, fiendish, and divine energies produce different patterns of arcane entanglement. And this by itself is often described as the weave, but it is also like without accounting for primordial influences. You then learn that there are ways to recognize your dominant emotional triggers. Exercises include recording surges, what caused it, how dangerous it got, and then what happened afterward. There is a margin note that you recognize in Amila's handwriting. It says, "For you, Lorelei, mark the feeling, do not become it." The next chapter refers to just studying Mechanus as a stabilizing concept, understanding that Mechanus is like the balance of order and where also your magic comes from. Techniques for visualizing that magic as cogs, gears, and rhythms, finding your center to prevent a surge from spinning out of control, and meditating by repetitive geometric tracings with a stylus or chanting mnemonic runes. It's dry. This chapter is exhausting. And I think with that investigation, that's probably where you would have to like stop and
All right, I'm done. Just that's what she says, and she closes the book.
Amila nods as she like is working with Erithea. Then she turns and she says, "Did you see my note?"
Mm-hmm.
"Do you understand the ritual?"
Mm-hmm.
She nods. "I would like you, using minor illusion, to perform that ritual 5 times.
Mm-hmm. And she'll sit up straight, and she'll like flex her fingers in and out, balling them to fists, and then she will perform it.
Okay, so, class, as Lorelei performs this ritual, I want you to think about Lorelei's mental state. Like, you said that she has, like, with that wisdom save of 10, she's trying to swallow, like, the fear and the frustration and stuff. Just, like, enough to face the problem, like what Kyron said. But you haven't really talked about the problem. You've sat down and you're, like, back to business. But I imagine that's probably a source of mild frustration or maybe relief or something. I want you to put yourself in Lorelei's headspace so we can understand, how this ritual will go for her. And as she uses minor illusion, what does it look like when she marks the circle, the first step?
What it looks like. Well, when going over that ritual the first time, she kind of visualized a gear just spinning at a steady rate, and she just it's not going fast, it's kind of turning, stopping, just an eighth of its way at a time.
Is it steady? Like, is it the
It's
same?
steady.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that
Um,
gear reflects like her emotional state? Like as she thinks about the ebbs and flows of anxieties and the trauma, do you think it would change?
yes, it would.
Okay.
Right now, she's not really thinking about anything, so it's kind of in a neutral state right now. Um, so I imagine with that being there, since there's no real like emotion that's presented itself, she would fail a couple times at doing it
Sure. So like
because
you
there's nothing there.
just create like this circle in the air that flutters and flickers away.
Uh huh.
Do you
Um,
do you think that would be frustrating?
yeah, I was gonna say, as soon as it like fails a couple times, she would definitely be frustrated, and the cog in the air would start to take a little bit fast. Um, and I'll say she fails one more time, and that's when the frustration comes forth. Um, and the cog is spinning freely; it's not ticking, and she finally traces the circle, completes it, and then she says frustration to it. And this little like candle like flame, this flicker enters the circle.
Okay.
Uh, she'll breathe in, and as she breathes in, that circle, that cog ticks, goes back to that ticking. It completes half its tick or half its rotation, which is 4. She holds it. It rotates, and then um, she breathes out, and it rotates halfway again. Um, at that point, it's like more cogs start to compile and contain this little candlelight flame
Mm-hmm.
containing it. And she mutters under her breath, I am the keeper of my magic. Its motion answers me.
Roll a persuasion check.
Oh, it's a 12.
12. The intent at which you say this, it's almost like you're trying to convince yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't do a very good job. The flame, it's still there. The gears turn with your breath, but you don't feel convinced.
If she doesn't feel convinced, then in in the illusion, the flame expands and
Almost
it
like
sets
with
fire.
more frustration, like
Mhm.
makes it grow. Okay.
Oh yeah, it grows and it sets fire to the cogs, and they burn to ash. She'll slump in her chair, even more frustrated now.
Next to you, unfortunately, Sparks says, "Clockwork magic is cool."
Mm.
He like was apparently watching the whole time, and he just is like, mouth is slightly agape, just is maybe entranced a little bit as you slump forward. Sorry, I'll leave you to it. And he like pointedly puts his face back down in his book.
All right. A little more frustrated now. uh, she'll go through the steps one more time. This time it'll be even faster. Almost impatient with herself. And when she says the emotion, she'll add frustration and impatience. As
Okay.
if putting both into that circle. And it's more than just a candle flame, it is a campfire that is crackling and burning. And once again, she tries to convince herself.
Okay. Roll a persuasion.
14.
14. That is well, that's enough. Well, I guess it's up to you if it's enough, but it does meet my DC.
Okay. I'll go with it.
I had set the DC at 13. So it's almost
Okay.
like the second half of the phrase. It's motion answers me. You like say it with enough strength that you see the flames. It's almost as if, like, after the fifth, the seal takes place, and it's as though a glass seal, a ring, on both sides of the circle of the gear. And the flame, though big, now boils and rolls within that window in the gears.
I'll take a deep breath. And she'll slowly release the flame.
As you do,
Bit by bit.
all the gears of this intricate interlay that you've created with this illusion, they were all like spinning fast and smooth. They all slow at the same rate as the flame, like being released from a boiler, lets out through the window that you've given it. And only when the last of the flame dwindles, the ritual takes effect, and you feel this. It's a feeling that doesn't come from you. It's a feeling that comes from somewhere else, not Amilla, not Sparks or Erithea, but it seems to flood into your very being from someplace almost alien. And it is a feeling of completion, of satisfaction, of pride. It is coming from some place that you know in your core you are connected to, even if you don't understand it. And as this welling feeling swells up in your chest, whether you like it or not, Amilla gently claps from the other side of the room. Very well done. Truly.
4 more times, right?
She nods.
The second time, it goes quicker. And it's a little easier because it's not a negative emotion that she feels. It's satisfaction, then pride, then happiness, and then content.
With each attempt, it gets easier. During the second attempt, when you say the phrase, "It answers to me," you roll the persuasion check with advantage.
Okay. $18.
18. Now, it doesn't feel like you're convincing yourself. It feels like you're reinforcing something that you innately know, and the ritual responds to it immediately. To perform this
Sure.
ritual, you no longer have to roll a persuasion check.
Okay.
You have learned how to complete it. And in the future, should wild magic surges happen, or if you are performing this ritual to effect a wisdom saving throw reflecting your own magic, this ritual gives you advantage.
Okay.
You do obviously have to have an action to perform the ritual.
Yeah.
There are going to be some situations where that's not the case, but in general, the tethering the flame ritual, that is its purpose. You also, after the 5th completion, you don't realize how long it has taken, but there is sweat on your brow, and when you finish it, Amila basically turns and says, "That is enough for today. You have made leaps and bounds. You can keep the book."
Thanks.
She nods. Class dismissed.
She'll take the and stride on out.
As you leave the sorcerer's classroom, you have something else?
Well, it's a short thing.
Go ahead.
She's gonna go try and find the cleric classroom.
Okay. Well,
Unless this is involved.
it's gonna be a thing that we should probably handle next session.
Okay.
So we will pick up right there as you're going to the cleric classroom. I want to thank you for playing with me tonight. I hope you had a good time. To those of you who are at home or at work watching, hi Penn, hi class, hi Emily, hi everybody else. We love you all, and I wish you a good night.